on your emotions. Be aware of your whole body. If you feel any pain or discomfort at any area of your body, bring your awareness to that area and mentally say, I let go. I am not the body. The body is just a vehicle of the soul. I am the soul. I am that I am. Visualize your whole body disintegrate and disappear. All the pain and discomfort in your body disintegrate and disappear. And what remains is just brilliant white light. Inhale slowly and deeply. Exhale slowly and deeply. Bring your awareness to your thoughts and your emotions. Just observe each and every thought that comes to your mind and fades away. Mentally say, I am not my emotions. Thoughts and
Take a deep breath. I am not the body. I am not the emotions. I am not the thoughts. I am not the mind. The mind is just an instrument of the soul. I am the soul. I am a spiritual being of divine intelligence, divine love, and divine power. Take a deep breath. Inhale slowly, exhale slowly. Be aware of any pain in your physical body. Take a deep breath. And as you exhale, just release it and let it go. Now take another deep breath and be aware of any heaviness in your emotions, especially any tight sensations in your chest or your throat or your back. Take a deep breath, a deeper breath, and then exhale and let it go. Be aware of your head and any feelings of heavy thoughts, heavy feelings. Just be aware of your head. Take a deep breath, inhale, and let it go. I am that I am. We invoke to the Supreme God. We invoke to our spiritual teacher, Master Chua Kok Sui, his teacher, Lord Mahaguruji Mailing, all the great ones, holy gurus, holy masters, saints, archangels, holy angels, and spiritual helpers. We invoke for the blessings of the angels of love and relationships, for the angels of healing. We invoke our higher soul, our divine self, and our guardian angels for help, for the blessings of divine light, divine love, divine power, divine healing, help, guidance, and protection. We thank you in full faith. Take a deep breath. Be aware of your whole body. Feel the lightness, feel the happiness. Exhale and share it with your body. Take another deep breath. Be aware of your aura. Be aware of your space. Exhale and share this light with your aura. Take another deep breath. Be aware of the space you're living in, your home. Exhale and share this light with your space. When you're ready, gently open your eyes with a smile. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this session on eradicating childhood traumas. And we'll be talking about some interesting topics, some bits of information on how it is and where it brings us in life. See, if you look at the last 2 years, it has been traumatic for everyone concerned. There are students, there are children who have not integrated into an education system, into a societal system, who are having difficulty now that the world has opened up again. We had a system of everyone working in an office, and then everyone started working from home. And now people are back in office and they're feeling that kind of difficulty in reintegrating. Small bits of irritation, small bits of annoyance, commuting to traffic, communicating with people who you had gotten used to talking in a different way. And then one fine day, all of that comes in and you suddenly explode. And you may have noticed this in your interactions with your family members, your loved ones, maybe in some cases, your colleagues and friends. Now, it's one thing when you are having a shouting match with your family members because they love you, but you can't have an explosion with your boss. They'll fire you. And then suddenly you're without a job, and then you're further traumatized. In today's session, we'll go deeper into what the energy of fear is, the effect of childhood traumas on adulthood, how you can acknowledge them, face them, and eventually disintegrate and let go. So with this, we start our session, and I invite Dr. Hengame Fazeli to talk about the next topic, which is the effect of fear.
Okay, so the topic on eradicating childhood traumas. First of all, we need to understand that fear is real. It's a type of energy. And unless we take it out from our system, it just changes from one form to another. And we carry it over from childhood to our teenagehood to our adulthood. And it will affect how we deal with life challenges and how we deal with our relationships and talk to other people. For example, I want to share one story from someone I heard and one story from my own childhood. So I remember meeting this person. He was already in his 20s. And he came to Brani Healing Center because he had this phobia that his girlfriend is going to die. Okay, so when you hear about it, it's a bit funny in the beginning, like, what is this fear about? And then he used to call the girlfriend, it seems, several times a day. And if one time she didn't pick up, he would think like it already happened and she's dead. And he would feel like restless and very stressed. And so when we were talking with this person to see why there is this fear and where it come from, it went back to childhood when he was in a school, and he had this teacher who was quite aggressive. And once the teacher punished, or a few times punished, another student with, iron ruler. And according to him, until that age, he is afraid of rulers. So you see, this fear of being punished, or this fear went inside him, and then it started to change, maybe to different types of fear. Same with me. When I was a child, I experienced war, and I remember having fear of going down to the lower level, and then all this stress of everyone and so on. So it went inside my system. And when I was growing up, I remember this fear changed to fear of a disease. Like, I just heard in the news that cholera is becoming, everybody's getting it. It's becoming a problem. And then suddenly I had this fear, what if I get cholera and die? So you see, it's the same fear, but it changed. And I remember feeling it really, really high and very difficult to even talk to people. And when my parents were describing, there should be symptoms, and this usually happen in rural areas, not in a city and so on. But when the person is experiencing fear, you cannot really explain. You cannot try to make them understand and logically, because it's an emotion. And when the person is experiencing it, if you have done previous study sessions with us, you know that the whole aura is like vibrating in that, in that state. And when the emotional body is erratic, it's very difficult for the mental body to actually work. And so for the person to actually sit and try to understand what's happening, what are the symptoms, logical things. And then it changed into low self-esteem. and shyness. So you see, it just changed from one type to another type until I remember I learned pranic healing, and then I started to actually work on myself using meditation on twin hearts, using techniques, using whiteboard technique, pranic psychotherapy. And once this was removed, then I could really see that, okay, it's gone. It's not changing to another form. And many of us deal with that. And it affects the decision making. Many decisions that we take, sometimes we take a decision out of fear and it leads to certain things. And then we want to logicalize it and we say, maybe that is my destiny, maybe God wants it to be this way. But if you really think about it, the reason might be just some sort of childhood trauma or fear that is affecting the whole, life. So unless we actually, recognize it and disintegrate it, it's with us. And so I would like to invite Arko also to explain a bit how this could affect our adulthood.
Thank you, Hingame. According to certain studies, certain research papers, there is a concept of something called the inner child. Hands up. Have you heard of this child? Have you heard of this term called the inner child? And you have these programs and everything called the inner child integration or protection of the inner child. Okay. If you're pregnant, that's not what we're talking about. If you have an inner child, this particular inner child is for men, women, and everybody. Okay. It's a psychological thing, right? We're not talking about a physical child. You are allowed to laugh, by the way. Okay. Sometimes we try and, if the topic comes very heavy, I'll try and crack some funny jokes. Maybe not all of them are funny, but anyway. So see, the inner child, according to one particular author, one particular practitioner, is at an age when the first traumatic experience happens. So if someone is, say, 5 or 6 years old and their parents are having a fight and the father or the mother, they scream and they shout at the child, that's when the first real psychic attack happens. And this 5 or 6 year old, say 6-year-old, is going to school. They're starting to form relationships and interacting with other people. They have a meaningful understanding of responsibility, domestic chores and stuff like that. And then boom, all of a sudden their entire aura, their entire being is attacked. So the subconscious mind, which is also developing along with the physical, emotional, mental bodies, the subconscious mind, the growth of the subconscious mind gets a kink, gets a crack. The mind at the age of 6 years old develops a protection program. It starts thinking, okay, the moment anyone screams at me, I need to protect myself. So maybe this particular child was in an abusive situation. It happens, right? That, the parents, they beat up the children, they spank them, or maybe they deny them dinner, maybe they deny them their toys, and many such things are there. So if, say, for example, we won't take the example of spanking, we'll say denying of food. We'll take the example, food was denied, dinner was denied. And then this child starts developing the thought that, okay, if I misbehave or if something happens which makes my parents unhappy with me, I will lose out on food. So in this person's trauma response becomes food. So think about it. We heard this term, right? Comfort food, yes or no? Many of you have comfort foods. It could be chips, it could be soft drinks, it could be chocolate. Many people have chocolate. Some people have cheese as their comfort foods and many other things. All of these food items, all of these comfort items give us an escape route to a place in our own mind where we are no longer able to be hurt. So as we grow up, sometimes we are struggling to lose weight. We go a little way and then all of a sudden something happens and we go back into overeating. This happens in relationship building. This happens in romantic relationships. This happens in financial transactions. The effect of the trauma as a child influences your behavior as a grown-up. Now, since this last part will have a little bit of forgiveness, letting go, and disintegrating the old energy, I would like you to take maybe a minute, not more than that, just 1 minute, take that paper, take that pen, and write down 3 items which you think may have traumatized you. It could be a fear of, say, diseases or cholera. It could be a fear of being loved, fear of being accepted, fear that you will lose your loved one. This is a very particular example. I know a person, an amazing human being, absolutely amazing human being, but she is walking on eggshells around her family members, around her loved ones, around her romantic relationship. Why? Because she's afraid that some of her actions may impact the behavior of those around. So she tries to be loving, she tries to be thoughtful, she tries to be gentle, but somehow the actions create a self-sabotaging system where the relationships and other people get hurt. She is not at fault. She's a lovely human being. The issue is the childhood trauma, the childhood programming, all that old energy which is stuck. And the funny thing about energy is real. If that energy has been eating your resources, just imagine this. You have a home and there's a person who's living in a bedroom and he's been eating your food for years and years and years. And then one fine day you realize, hey, hang on, who are you? Why are you living in my house alone without my permission? Get out. So this person is now denied their food, their feast, and they'll try and break your house down. They'll try to destroy your happiness just so they can come back and live there again. So you can think of trauma energy as this old monster that's eating away into your supply of inner peace, of inner happiness, of happy relationships. So write down 3 things. Fear of disease, could be a fear of relationships, could be a fear of commitment, could be fear of exams, many things. Write that down and we'll come to it. But right now, since we have talked about the effect of childhood traumas, we will then need to look into recognizing them. And that will be talked about by Dr. Fazeli.
Thank you so much. Okay, so in many of our talks, we discuss about this first. So before we talk about how to deal with something, first, the important thing is to be aware of it and to recognize that it exists. Okay, so when it comes to fear, first of all, we need to really be aware and see, why am I behaving in a certain way? What am I afraid of? And then try to go deeper. First, to evaluate if this fear is based on reality or if this fear is based on imagination. Okay, so that is the first thing, or based on past experience. Okay, many of us sometimes have fears, but it's not really based on reality. It might be based on lack of knowledge. For example, some people are afraid of flying in airplane, and that could be because of lack of knowledge. So they may think it may fall. But if they start to study about it, then they realize that, okay, there is nothing to fear about. So later we will talk about solutions. But first of all, when we have certain fear or anxiety, first we need to be aware and see, is it based on reality? Is it based on my perception? Or is it based on imagination? If it's based on reality, we have to do something about it. We cannot just say, oh, it's just fear, so no need to really think about it. Or some people say, just let go and continue living. If it's based on reality, we have to do something, right? If it's based on perception, if it's based on childhood traumas, if it's based on lack of knowledge, then yes, we can just let it go. But if it's based on reality, we have to do something. Okay. Now, Arko asked you to write 3 things. Now let's focus on those 3. Let's go a bit deeper and take a moment and see, what is the trigger? When do you feel afraid about what you wrote? For example, what is the trigger for your anxiety? If you're afraid of, maybe let me have an example. For example, you were saying fear of losing someone, fear of losing a partner, fear of losing a boyfriend or a girlfriend. What is the trigger when you feel afraid? For example, when you're watching a movie and the movie is about having children. I don't know. When you go to the beach and you feel like your partner is more attentive to others than you. What is the trigger that makes you feel afraid of or feel anxiety of what you're afraid about. Okay, so let's try to think about it in what situations you experience it more. Then we can actually do something about it and focus more on solutions afterwards. Fear of losing loved ones. Okay, if you can put it in a chat would be good, because we can then talk about it based on childhood trauma insecurity. For example, when I was sharing my personal example before, that I had this fear from childhood, and then at some point it changed to fear of getting cholera and die. The trigger was then used when it talked about people who get it and die. Okay, so every time there was a certain trigger that goes back to dying, because when I was a child, we had this war and people were dying because of war. So this kind of fear was inside me. So whenever there was a news about it or a movie about it, or even a scary movie where there is ghosts and things, so everything goes back to that concept of dying. So then we need to actually try to understand what is the trigger. From there, we will know what is the history behind, what is the experience I had. You know, there was one person who was afraid of traveling, and then every time when we were traveling with a car, especially if the car was going fast, he would feel like he wanted to throw up. And then again, we started to dig deep where this fear comes from. And then after interviewing the family, we came to know that his mother, when he was in the womb, had an accident. So that fear actually transferred. So knowing that trigger helped us to go back and dig deeper and see where does it really come from, so that we will know it's not based on reality, it's based on some experience we had in the past, and now it's inside. We have to take it out. Okay, now another question. So now we know what fear we have. Now we know what could be the trigger that we experience that anxiety or fear. Now, next question is, when you have that anxiety, if you can try to think back, which part of your body you feel it more. Okay, like for some people, you can feel it in the stomach. So it's like butterflies in the stomach. Some people feel it in the heart. Some people may feel it in the kidneys. So what part of your body it's what you call gathered. Now, all of these help us later to remove it through healing techniques and through meditation and through inner reflection and firm resolution, because emotions affect our chakras, and chakras affect our organs. Okay, so sometimes certain type of energy gets stored in the organs in the body, and after some time you may experience having a certain disease. For example, resentment could affect the kidneys, or anger could lead to arthritis. So all of this is for us to actually try to understand our bodies, our system a bit more deeper. Some people get headache, for example, when they are afraid that fear or anxiety. Okay, so I see people wrote pressure in the forehead, fantastic, stomach, solar plexus, chest, head gets heavy. So you see, we can all relate to that. The emotions affect our physical health, and we have to do something about it. Not only they affect our relationships, not only they affect the degree of our success, because sometimes you're afraid of taking new opportunities or do something new or risky, but also if remain untreated, they can affect us physically. So now, by knowing this, we go to the next step, and that is to face the traumas. Okay, for example, if you are afraid of flying, how can we deal with it? How can we face it, and how can we overcome it? Or if you are afraid of public speaking, for example, how can you how can you face it and deal with it? Okay, our dear Arko will enlighten us. Thank you.
Don't even remind me of fear of public speaking. God, that was a flashback. Just froze on stage. Now, I've been reading some of the chats, some of the comments that come here, and I'm seeing the fear of going wrong, fear of not being accepted or loved, fear of abandonment, and the fear of people not liking us. How many of you have this fear? Raise your hands, please. Fear of people not liking you, fear of people criticizing you or making fun of you. Okay. 1, 2, 4, 5, many people would have this fear. See, when we go through life, our primary care is being given by our parents, the male parental figure, the female parental figure, the father and the mother. Okay. I'm not going into the details of masculine energy and feminine energy and all the, the soul and the gender and all of that. None of that. It is expected that the father will provide protection and the mother will provide nurture. That's the basic expectation over there. Now, you may have heard this term, perhaps in a derogatory context or something, or in a funny context, but there are some things known colloquially as daddy issues or mommy issues. Now, the exact text is something that it's called the father complex. And the father complex in psychology, it's very complicated because it's a group of subconscious and unconscious associations that we have, which specifically pertains to the role that the father figure plays in our lives. And these impulses, they can be positive, where you admire and seek out mature figures. You ask older male figures for help and guidance. Or you have a negative one, that because the father was supposed to provide protection and they were unable to do so for whatever reason, any men are seen as distrustful. They're seen as dangerous. And you can have this thing that, oh, you see guys, just be careful of them. They're not like that. Now, conversely, since the mother figure is supposed to be providing nurturing and care, if you did not get what do you expect the mother to do? Have you eaten well? Are you're sleeping properly? Basic stuff, something like that. If the mother failed to provide the essential emotional support, the psychological after effects which persist into adult life can result in a person becoming emotionally manipulative. So how do we take this fear of going wrong? What is the fear of going wrong? That you are either not going to be protected or you're not going to be emotionally supported. If you have the fear of not being accepted or loved, that is a mother issue. The emotional energy, the emotional support is not there. If you have a fear of abandonment, that is a father kind of issue, because the father is supposed to protect, won't abandon you in your time of crisis or abuse. If you have a fear of people not liking you, then it's probably both sets of parents, usually more father figure, because in men at least, they grow up to be very distant from their parents, from their fathers. Okay. Of course, I cannot speak from the feminine perspective, but as far as from a male perspective, the father figure is the one who is always stern, very quiet, very, like, I'm taking care of things. Why do I need to hear about how your day was? You had a day, there are 24 hours, some of that. So all of these things, they come in and they cause these traumas to take hold in our lives. So take a look at that paper, look at the trauma, and on the perspective of what I just said, mommy issue or daddy issue, because we're going to see, this is a short lecture. Okay, we're going to go into do full-on psychotherapy for you. Okay, that's a full-on treatment. By the way, if you do think that you need professional help, you can message us, you can DM us on our social media, and we actually have healing packages for full-on psychotherapy, where we're certified pranic healers taking care of these issues. If you need that help, we're there to help you. So I want you to look at that piece of paper and make a note whether your issue comes from your relationship with your father or from your mother. And in some rare cases, it might be both. And when you find that that is the trauma, you've come face to face with the trauma, then we can focus on the next part, which is focusing on solutions. So I'll give you 15 seconds, 5 seconds per issue, to figure out what the trauma can be related to. Now, of course, if it's something else, if you got bitten by a dog, then obviously you cannot say it's a daddy issue, then it's a doggy issue, then it's something else. But here we're talking about deeper rooted psychological stuff, which affects, since we're talking about childhood traumas, I am working on the assumption that we will be looking at a parenthood thing. Now, here's another thing, a very interesting thing. Sometimes, due to circumstances in life, we may have lost a loved one. Or maybe they were working and they were not physically present. In that case, subconsciously, we fill the role of the missing parent. We become the father who's not there, or we become the mother, the caregiver. We become the provider. There are many stories of people who started working in their very early teen years, maybe because of this being a contributing factor. So if you're saying that, oh, I don't have any of these issues because I didn't have my parent over there physically when I was growing up, chances are you could have had that in your system. And if you got some physical fear, like fear of fighting and other things, again, fighting is what? Connected to protection. Protection, father. P for pita, pitra. P for fear of fighting. Fear of karma. Fear of karma. That is probably because you've read too many things and now you're terrified. Don't read too many books without using discernment. So, okay, 15 seconds have gone. We've come to face with the trauma. Now what you're going to do is you're going to focus on the solutions, and that will be taken care of by Hengame.
Thank you so much. Okay, now focus on solutions. We, especially the ones who are familiar with the world of energy, we know that whatever we focus on, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay, so means if we have fear of something, and the more we think about that fear, we are basically attracting that kind of energy, and then we make it happen. We actually materialize it. How many times you were afraid of certain situation, you were worried that a certain situation may happen, and then it happened. And then you thought, I knew it's going to happen. But you never thought, I made it happen. I remember this funny story. I don't know, maybe I heard it from Master Ko or someone, I cannot remember. And that there was this family in US, and the wife was terrified of having burglar in the house, robbery. So every time she was so afraid, and she was just thinking about it and talking it with the husband. And finally one day, there was a robber who came to their house, and the husband went and actually said thank you to the guy and said, thank you, my wife was waiting for you for several years. Finally you came. So you see, many times we make a situation happen because of our fear. So instead of meditating on what we don't want to have, we need to focus our attention with willpower. Okay, now again, if you have joined our previous study sessions, you know that thought power is the power that work on things, that influence things, influence the physical world. So it means the more we think about something, we materialize it. And that is the basic behind Kriya Shakti, means using the power of thought to materialize things. Now, where the willpower come from, where the willpower stand in this equation is will can affect the thought. So with willpower, we can affect our thoughts, and then with thought power, we can change the physical world. Okay, so using the willpower, we need to focus our attention into what we want to happen, not what we don't want to happen. Now, based on what you have written, you know that what is the fear you have, what triggers it, and where it comes from, and which part of your body it affects. Okay, so now, first of all, to move away from the triggers. So if you know there are certain movies, certain shows, certain places, certain music, certain things that trigger that fear, first of all, you can read triggers, okay, or try to transmute or change them, or change the way you look at them. For example, many years ago, there was this show that really affected me emotionally. And that was like, I forgot the name of the show. It was the Moment of Truth or something like that. And I already had some negative experience before in relation to relationships. And then in this show, they were asking a certain guy or a certain girl questions. And if they answered correctly, they could earn something. But that would affect so many people. And usually in that show, you see that there were so many people who cheated, who betrayed, and so on. And stopped watching it because it was very, dramatic, and you feel excited. Your emotional body loves watching it. But every time I watched it, it would make me feel even worse because I already had a certain experience like that. So with willpower, I really, really forced myself not to watch such programs anymore. And I realized that gradually that fear went down and disappeared. So you see, there are certain triggers. If we can try to reduce being exposed to that situations, it would also help to heal, because our body can heal itself. But the problem is we keep exposing sometimes ourselves to the triggers so that the body won't get enough chance to heal itself. Now, another thing is some of the fears are because of lack of knowledge, as we discussed earlier. For example, fear of flights because the person has not experienced it even once. So in this situation, the solution could be trying to expose yourself. For example, not one shot, like go into the plane and then you get terrified, but for example, starting to read about flight, read about statistics, how many flights actually fall, and then start to go into the airport to get experience, exposed to that environment, talk to people who have already, for example, had a travel, who just landed, and so on. And then maybe go and sit inside a plane. There are some restaurants, even they look like a plane. So you can try to expose or familiarize yourself with that kind of situation, and maybe have one short flight, which is inside the country from a city to another city, maybe a 1-hour flight. So like that, you get more exposed and you get more familiar. Then you will know that there is nothing to actually fear about. Another example is public speaking. So many people who have not done it initially have a lot of fear, including myself. So you can start with giving talks in small groups, one-to-one, or one to a small group of people in person. Okay, like once you get more familiar with it, more comfortable with it, then bigger group, people that you don't know. For example, you give an intro talk. Once you again get familiar with it, you can start giving talks online like this. Even before the pandemic, Arco was telling me, let's do talks online, let's do webinars and so on. And I was like, no, I had a lot of, not fear of talking, but fear of things may go wrong and this and that. And finally, the pandemic had to make us do it. But you see, if we started earlier, if we started with maybe a smaller group and then bigger group, and then we could even started before the pandemic happened. But anyway, pandemic made us do it because we had to actually, we cannot do it in person, so we had to do it, no other option. So that's why we actually went straight into it. So you see, there are some fears that is because of lack of knowledge or lack of being exposed to something. So to deal with that, you can slowly start with small things and make it bigger and bigger, and expose yourself, familiarize yourself with that. And then there are fears that are deeply rooted, maybe past life, maybe when you were really a baby or a child, because of certain things that you went through, like the war experience, which I shared, or the accident that I shared, also one of our Hatha Yoga practitioners experience when he was inside the womb of the mother. So these fears, we actually need something more. So means we need to actually apply some healing techniques, or we need to do psychotherapy to disintegrate them, remove them, and then seal the chakras so that we can come out of it. So based on what the fear is, where it comes from, what triggers it, we know what solution to take. And we need to focus on the solution instead of focusing on the fear. Okay, let's move on to the next. And I will read the questions and then try to answer afterwards. Next is detach yourself. Now, when we talked about earlier that when you are really afraid, logical thinking doesn't work. So maybe at that moment, you cannot actually think about now what is the solution. So what can we do first when you are already in that moment of fear?
What can you do when you're already in that moment of fear? A trauma response is triggered by what you're perceiving in your environment. Now, you can detach yourself from the situation. Like if you are being triggered by a series like The Moment of Truth, if you are coming face to face with something which you know will hurt you, and if you try to block yourself off to it, that'll help. For example, some people love watching horror movies. Gets the heart racing. But some people they absolutely cannot stand it. If you know that you're going to be a situation where you have to watch a horror movie, try to not. Try to walk away from it. If you still find that you can't, you are going to have to take the emotional response and get rid of it. Now, one thing, for those who know pranic psychotherapy, they know very well to cut the link. They know what color prana to apply on which chakras, how to activate or inhibit certain chakras in order to cause their emotional psychological response to be controlled. Now, another way in which you can actually do this is controlling your breathing. There is a particular technique. I've experimented with this technique in chat groups before and found it to be really, really effective. It's called the double inhale exhale. It's not a pranic technique, but it's something which is there in psychological studies. It's called the double inhale exhale. What it does is it forces your oxygen supply to increase many, many times. So if you're in a crisis, what you do is you take a short breath and then you take a deep breath and you lock that breath in, and then you open your mouth and you exhale. Right? So what we're going to do is we are going to detach ourselves from the trigger. Later on, we will actually work on disintegrating it. Right now, I want you to practice this with me, right? Double inhale, exhale. Take a short breath. Now take a deep breath. Lock it in. Hold it. Open your mouth, exhale. Right? Notice that your shoulders are relaxing. Your jaws and your facial muscles are also releasing all that pent-up stress, pent-up emotions. Some people get massages, okay? They get shoulder massages, leg massages, and the masseuse will tell them, you really need to relax. You're all tight. We are tight. We keep this like, we're ready to protect ourselves at all times. I invite you to open up. It's okay. Put your arms by your side, relax them. Imagine that you're a chicken trying to fly. Plot twist, chickens can't really fly. So just relax your shoulders, or if you prefer a peacock, just relax. Close your eyes. Short inhale, long inhale. Lock your breath in. Open your mouth, exhale. There's still something left. Exhale some more. There you go. Your lungs are now empty, which means you're ready for fresh oxygen. Short inhale, long inhale, hold. Open your mouth, exhale. Last time. Short inhale, long inhale. Hold your breath. Keep your eyes closed until I tell you. Open your mouth and exhale. Breathe normally, but keep your eyes closed. Be aware of any stress, any tension that you're carrying. Be aware of any person who's made you unhappy. Be aware of your parents if you need to be. Our teacher, Master Chow Kok Sui, says that life is not perfect. Your beloved, your darling, your loved one can have many, many good qualities, but even roses come with thorns. Likewise with our parents, likewise with our partners. Don't start screaming. Don't start eliciting a trauma response. This calmness that you're feeling right now, imagine that your loved ones are sitting beside you. Take a deep breath. And as you exhale, share that love with them as well. So the first technique, you may now open your eyes. How's everyone feeling? Please share your feedback on the chat. Let's have everyone using their fingers to tell us how they're feeling. You should be feeling light, relaxed. Some of you may be feeling very emotional because the emotional response have come to the top. You can get rid of them. So first one, physically detach from the situation, walk away. Second one, do breathing techniques in order to release. And the third one, very self-explanatory, focus on a mantra. So it's a physical response, emotional response, mental response. Depends on your level of training, depends on your level of discipline. Chant a mantra. I like to chant Om Mani Padme Hum. Some people like to chant Om Namo Rama Om. Some people just like to chant Om. So it depends on where you are on your discipline, on your practices, and what response. Typically, we've seen that when you chant on a mantra and you do it repeatedly, you're able to overcome the stressful situation. So then you are able to detach. But the next part that we have to really work on is that there's a lot of past trauma because we are dealing with the childhood. And that is what you need to detach and let go of. For that, Hengame will talk. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Before we talk about forgiving and let go of the past, there was a question and also there was this fear of karma. So I wanted to talk about it a little bit. That could be, again, one of the fears that we have because of lack of enough knowledge. Okay, so because nowadays there are so many people who write so many things on the internet, and there are certain things that are usually used as a scapegoat. For example, black magic, for example, karma. So whatever issue happens, like it's your karma, or you have black magic. So people start to get afraid of these things, but not sometimes knowing that karma is not fatalistic. Karma is evolutionary. Karma is actually necessary for life. You know, karma is the law of action and reaction, cause and effect. So means, if you think about it logically, scientifically, if you plant, for example, apple, you expect to harvest apple, right? If you plant apple and the harvest sometimes is potato, sometimes is rotten, rotten durian, why do you do something? Because you don't know what will be the effect. For example, you go out of the house, you help someone, the effect might come as you die. You never know. So in a lawless universe, the best thing to do is not doing anything because there is no expected result. But when there is such laws as karma, then you can actually plan your future. And if you are experiencing something which is not really interesting, which is not really nice, using the law of karma, you can change the future. You don't have to continue experiencing it because you know, I'm experiencing this situation because of something which was planted in the past, right? And then we had one talk previously. If you just email us to get the recording, it was on repeated patterns, if I'm not mistaken. So there we actually discussed about some of the causes and some of the actions and reaction, causes and effects. For example, we discussed the virtues, and if you're experiencing, for example, a certain ailment, the lesson to learn might be loving kindness. So things like that. We discussed a little bit about these causes and effects. So if you're experiencing something which you don't like, you can actually change it based on the golden rule. By using the golden rule means do to others what you want others to do to you. Do not do to others the things you do not want others to do to you. And by learning the lesson. Okay, so if we start to understand this, if we start to do more research about it, we see that karma is actually very good. It's good to have laws like law of karma because it gives us freedom actually to create what we want to have in the future. And not everything is because of karma. Sometimes we experience things because our soul decided to take so much in one incarnation and so many lessons. For example, it's like university. In some of the terms, maybe you're tired, you just take less courses so that you can take it like slow and easy. But in some terms, you say, okay, this term I want to have like so many and I want to do it and I want to grow fast. So you may take up so many lessons to learn. Okay, so if you are dealing with certain ailments, certain karmic things, certain issues, challenges, don't always think that I'm a bad person and I'm experiencing this. Might be that your soul took so many lessons. You look at it as lessons to learn. Don't look at it as a punishment. Okay, so let's now move on to forgive and let go of the past. So already Arco discussed about detaching from the situation physically and energetically. Now we also need to detach emotionally and also from some people in soul level. For example, if you have if you experience certain traumas because of a parent, because of a teacher, because of a friend, because of someone in the past, and until now you have not let go, you always think about them, and whenever a certain situation happens and you experience the trauma, you think that this person was the reason why I'm feeling like that. Means we have to really cut and let go, forgive and let go, because again, as we discussed, the more we are attached, the more we meditate on it, the more we think about it, the more we attract it. If not that person, similar people, and at some point we may even develop certain similar qualities to them. Okay, you see the people that you don't like, sometimes you keep thinking about them, after some time you realize you are behaving like them because we attract that. Okay, so let's do a practice now to forgive and let go. If you go back to your fears and if you can identify a person or yourself or a certain situation, a certain family member, a certain teacher, friend, someone who caused that, and until now you have not been able to let go, let's think about them and try to detach using the forgiveness technique. Okay, so for this, I want you to relax, connect your tongue to your palate, put your two hands in a namaste position in front of your heart, close your eyes, inhale and exhale slowly and deeply. Let's start with a short invocation and the I am affirmation, and then we do forgiveness prayer, and we will cut for all of you after that. So mentally say to the Supreme Being, Divine Father, Divine Mother, to our beloved teacher, to Master Choa Kok Sui, to Lord Mahaguruji Mailing, and all the great, great ones, holy gurus, holy masters, saints, archangels, holy angels, and spiritual helpers. Thank you for all of your priceless blessings, for divine light, divine love, and divine power, divine guidance, help, and protection. Thank you in full faith. Thank you for healing us. Thank you for helping us detach and let go of the past. Thank you in full faith. I am that I am. I am not the body. I am not the emotions, and I am not the thoughts. I am not even the mind. The mind is only a subtle instrument of the soul. I am the soul. I am that I am. I am a spiritual being of divine intelligence, divine love, and divine power. I am connected and one with my higher soul. I am that I am. I am a child of God. I am connected with God. I am one with God, and I am one with all. There is only oneness. Now visualize this person in front of you. Look into the person's eyes, smile, Mentally say Namaste. I salute the divinity within you. We are all human beings. We all make mistakes. Evolution requires time, process, and lots of mistakes. Please forgive me for my mistakes. And I forgive you. I let go of all these fears, anxieties, traumas, anger, and resentment. I choose to let go. Please forgive me, and I forgive you also. God's peace and love be with me and be with you. Namaste. Inhale, visualize your aura gets brighter, and exhale. Release any guilt, any anger, any fear, any anxiety, any lower emotions. One more time, inhale and exhale. Now we do this one more time. Visualize the person in front of you. Look into the eyes and smile. Mentally say Namaste. I salute the divinity within you. We are all human beings. We all make mistakes. Just as I make mistakes, I'm not perfect. You are not perfect either. I forgive you. Please forgive me also. Please forgive me for all the mistakes I have done. And I forgive you also. I let go of any lower emotions. I choose to let go. Thank you. Atma Namaste. God's peace and love be with me and be with you. Cut, cut, cut. I release you. Go in peace. Namaste. Inhale. Visualize your aura gets brighter and lighter. And exhale. Release any lower emotions. Inhale, your aura gets brighter and lighter. And exhale. Namaste. When you are comfortable, gently open your eyes with a big, big smile. Okay, so with some people, we have to actually do this consciously over and over again until we really feel let go, until when we think about them, when we remember certain memories, we don't feel lower emotions anymore. You know, sometimes we think we have forgiven someone or something, or ourselves, but we have just forgotten. So I have experienced this before. And once I heard this music, and the music's lyrics reminded me of this person, and I was really feeling emotional. And at that moment, I realized I haven't really forgiven. I have to actually sit and do this technique until I could really let go. And once you let go, the person becomes like everybody else. They don't affect you emotionally anymore. Okay, now let's move to the next, and then we will finish with a mass healing done by Orko to disintegrate these energies even further. Now, one thing we can do with these fears, especially if we have practiced these techniques, and I really recommend you to try to, if you have not yet done pranic psychotherapy, to try to actually research about it. This is one of the fantastic techniques developed by Master Choa and has helped me personally a lot, and I have seen so many people improve their lives with this. I know someone who was afraid of water, and after 2 weeks of doing self-psychotherapy, she actually registered in a swimming class. That was really amazing. Okay, so, but some of the techniques we discussed here could also help you dealing with the fears and traumas. And once you overcome it, even not yet fully, but once you actually realize that the fear is limiting you, that you have to let go, and you try to take some steps to overcome, then you can use it, actually use your experience to help others. I remember this video of Master Chokoksui, and he was saying, you know why I have so much of knowledge? Because I was there, I have experiences, I was in your place before, not in these words, I'm just quoting them, but the reason why a spiritual teacher is a spiritual teacher is because they have gone through all these challenges and they have overcome, and now they are in a position to teach to others. You may have seen so many relationship quotes, relationship coaches, for example. Many of them have actually experienced the things that they have overcome now, and they now in a position to teach it to others. So once, for example, if you have fear of public speaking like me, if you reach to a point you overcome it, then you could be in a position to help others with it. For example, one of the tips that I was using was to think about the worst thing that could happen. And usually the worst thing is you get embarrassed, and after a week people forget about it, and that's it. So why you should be afraid? So you see, use your fears, use your traumas to become an instrument of service to help others. Not only this will generate so much of good karma by helping other people, and that come back to you as helping you to heal even more, but also that could be beneficial to so many people. So if you have certain experiences and if you have overcome them, share it with others. No one is perfect. Okay? So we don't have to portray personality to everybody all the time. Just if you have certain knowledge, if you have certain what you call challenges that you overcome, and now you're in a position to share, please do that. And that could not only help others to see that there are so many others who are experiencing this or who have experienced this, but also to see that there is light at the end of the tunnel and they can actually come out of it. Okay, so that is another thing which you can do. Can I share this method with people I know who are struggling? Which method are you talking about? The forgiveness technique that we shared is actually in one of the books of Master Chokoksui. I think it's in the Golden Lotus Sutras on character building, if I'm not mistaken. So if you can share that and you can gift it to someone. Twin Hearts meditation, for example, that could also help many people. If you have experienced it and if you have benefited from it, why not you gather a group, share with them the meditation, let them experience it, and let them come out of it. Yes, the book Golden Lotus Sutras on character building, you can gather a group of people that you know they are dealing with these kind of things. Read from the book, because the words of the teacher even have more power. Read from the book, practice it. We have many CDs also, like Om Shanti, Om Mani Padme Hum, that it was being discussed previously. You can also, for example, get the CD, do that with the other people, with the ones that you know they actually can benefit from this, mantras or meditations or knowledge. And you can always people here. In every week, we try to have a different topic. If you have a topic you want it to be discussed, just send it to us. Sharing is caring. Share this knowledge. Share pranic. For us, is pranic healing. So there may be some other people in the chat who have experienced other methods, but since we have experienced pranic healing, this is what we talk about. And yeah, sharing is caring. Share it with others. As long as you quote where it comes from and you follow the what you call copyright techniques, you can always share. Thank you so much. Let's move on to the last which is disintegrate your fears and traumas, and Arco will guide us through that. You're muted.
Hello. The trauma of public speaking. Physically walk away from the situation. Keep yourself on mute. Second part, which you don't want to talk about, use a sense of humor. Okay. Anywho, this will be a quick one where we're going to get rid of some of the traumas which are in your system. 5 minutes at most. Okay. Are you ready? Please make sure you're ready for this. A lot of old stuff might come out. After this healing, try to avoid taking a shower for at least the next 8 to 12 hours. Okay. I cannot obviously say that, all right, you're going to go take a shower now while we wait for you. So everyone, please sit in a receptive position. Bend your head, bow your head slightly, and we'll say to the Supreme God, our Divine Father and Divine Mother, the source of all life, to my spiritual teacher, to Master Chokok Sui, to Lord Mahaguruji Mailing, to all the great ones. Thank you for blessing us with healing, inner healing, physical healing, psychological healing, with good health, happiness, happy relationships, with love, with light, with power. We thank you in full faith. Take a deep breath. Inhale slowly, inhale very, very deeply. With the help and blessings of God, may all the negative thoughts, negative emotions, psychic attack, psychic contamination, all the unauthorized calls in your system be disintegrated, extracted, and released. With the blessings of God, may all the negativity, all the negative thoughts, negative emotions, negative patterns, negative programming, which you've been carrying in your system all these years, you are letting them go. Let go. You don't need them. They're unnecessary. Take a deep breath. If necessary, do the double inhale and exhale. Do that. Brilliant healing light from God is coming into your crown. Your brain is being cleansed of all the negative thoughts, negative memories, negative patterns. All right, I need to connect to the energy of the people. So I'll request every participant to please switch your videos on. I will request all participants to have their videos on, that we may make this an immersive experience for helping everybody. We can connect. Atma Namaste, everyone. It's actually good to see faces on the other end of the screen. I shall now request everyone to keep their cameras on. So if I crack a bad joke, I'll get instant visual feedback. Okay, take a deep breath. With the help and blessings of God, all the negative thoughts, negative memories, negative patterns, negative programming in your brain are being cleansed, are being healed, disintegrated. Release and let go. All the negative things that you have seen, that your eyes have witnessed, all of them are being cleansed. All the negative things you've heard, all the negative stuff that your ears have picked up, your right ear and your left ear, they are being cleansed. Take another deep breath. Inhale. Be aware of your lungs. All those things which have suffocated you, all the unexpressed things which are stuck in your throat, release them and let go. All the unexpressed thoughts, unexpressed emotions, pent-up thoughts, pent-up feelings, release them from your throat, from your mouth, from your lips, from your teeth, from your tongue. Release, 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 and just let go. Some of you may feel emotional. Some of you may feel a desire to cry. It's okay. This is a safe space. All of you, You are loved. You are cared for. Not by me, okay? I mean, maybe by me, I don't know. You are healed. All the hurt that you're carrying in your heart, that heaviness in your back heart, cleansed. All the pent-up feelings, pent-up emotions, pent-up thoughts, all the feeling of being unworthy, unlovable, unlikable, disintegrate, release. Release and let go. Hey, actually release, okay? Don't expect me to do all the hard work. It's your trauma and your emotions. Get rid of it. Release, let go. Out. All the physical trauma, emotional trauma, psychological trauma, which you're carrying with the help and blessings of God, may all of these be released, disintegrated, extracted, externalized, and disposed of, raised to higher vibrations. So be it. Affirm, so be it. Affirm, I am receptive to the healings. Verbally, say this. Guys, say it with a little more feeling, a little more emotional. This is healing happening. You're like, I am receptive to the healings. Come on, put your heart into it. I am happy. I am healthy. I am a child of God. God loves me. And I love God. I am happy. I am entitled to happiness. I am entitled to health. I am entitled to peace. I am happy. I allow myself to heal. I allow myself to feel peace. I release all my pent-up emotional garbage. I release all my pent-up programming. All childhood traumas disintegrate. All negative planted programming from father disintegrate. All negative planted programming from mother disintegrate. All psychic attack disintegrate. All childhood trauma disintegrate, extract, and raise to high vibrations. Take a deep breath. Now cry like a baby. Okay, no, actually, don't do that. Don't do that. But you might feel like doing so. If you do, it's okay. Now, you're going to be energized. Brilliant healing white light is entering your crown, your head. You have been blessed by God with happy memories, happy thoughts. You see things of beauty. You think considerate, kind, helpful thoughts. You speak loving words. You do loving actions. You experience love. Each and every one of you. You are a child of God, connected to God, one with God, one with all. There is only love. You're entitled to it. You receive it. Inhale, absorb the love, lock it in place, and radiate this love through your whole body. Absorb the healing. Be aware of your emotions and send love to your emotions. Be aware of your thoughts and send love to your thoughts. Your entire aura, with the help and blessings of God, with the help of Master Choa and Lord Mahaguruji Meiling, your entire aura is impregnated with pink and gold energy, with healing, loving, soothing energy. You are protected. You are blessed with love. You are radiating love. You are a being of divine love. Your aura is filled with love. And anyone who comes into contact with you is touched by your love. Inhale. You are filled with love. Exhale. Your aura is filled with forgiveness and transmutation. You have the ability to repel any negativity directed towards you. And any internalized negativity has been removed from your system. And that space which is empty, it is stuffed with love, with healing. You are healed. You are healed. Relax. Relax your body. Relax your shoulders. Let us give thanks to the Supreme God, my spiritual father, my spiritual mother, to my teacher, Master Chua Kok Sui, without whom none of this would have been possible, my eternal gratitude. To all those persons who hurt me, but helped me come onto the path, thank you. You've helped me become a better person. To all those who loved and supported me, I love you and God bless you. May every person here, each and every one of you, may the blessings of God, may His love, passing through our teacher, touch your heart, touch your soul. I am that I am. I am loved. I am lovable. I am kind. I am helpful. I am a being of light. I am a being of love and a being of power. And I am grateful. Take a deep, deep, deep breath. Exhale. Open your eyes. Big smile. Hey, everyone. Looking at all the happy, smiling, shiny faces on the screen. Some happier, some shinier. If you've liked this, share the word. We are here to help. Bring more people for the Tuesday sessions. We'll try to heal. We'll try to help. We have our study clubs also, the paid ones, that kind of funds us, gives us the opportunity to keep these sessions free. Join us for the Esoteric Study Club. You can sponsor healings if you want. You can donate to Prana World if you want. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, everyone. Hope you enjoyed and see you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.